Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and of course, a warm welcome to my new people. So, today we are jumping in to kind of look at this season that we've got. We've got the fall equinox upon us. There's this feeling of harvest, there's this overall feeling of kind of making use of what you've learned. So, growth has happened, and it's about being grateful for that and for harvesting, kind of figuring out where you are. There's a sense of figuring out where you are. And with that comes some questions. So, one of the questions that really kind of I started to get a lot in the last few days is, am I making the right choice? So, some people are looking to walk away. Some people are waiting and they're wondering if they're making the right choice in what they're doing. So, we're going to look into that today. It'll be a general reading as usual. So, general reading for this collective. So, it's not going to resonate with everybody, and it shouldn't. However, if it does resonate with you, you may want to look at some of the other videos and maybe take a look at some of the other messages that have come through. So let's see, I will use this as my primary deck today, and we're going to start out by getting that emotional and energetic backdrop for you. And so this is really, we're not just looking at today. It's heavy on the near term, but we're looking at kind of this whole fall season. So it is in this hemisphere. I'm in the northern hemisphere, and it is getting ready to be fall. If you're in the southern hemisphere, then it is getting ready to be spring. Either way, an equinox creates a change. Let's see what fell. Only had things fall that were face down. I'll take them if they're face up and feel like they want to be part of the reading. Let's see here. So again, we're looking for that energetic backdrop, the energy that you're swimming in across the timing of this fall, but heavy on the near term, because that's the piece that is kind of, you're going to have your best luck with that anyway with tarot, looking in the near term. So you've got strength in the upright, high priestess in the reverse. This feels like getting by on your own strength, your own abilities a little bit, because there's not as much of a connection happening maybe with higher self, or with your higher power, but there are some messages coming through to you. So maybe that connection isn't solid to the point where you're just constantly hearing them, and there's a need to adjust that or to improve on that a little bit. But you also kind of have a little bit of a foothold that's going to enable you to do that. This is shared energy between you and your person. So there's a feeling of kind of confidence that comes from between the two of these cards, or the combination of these cards with strength and the high priestess, with the high priestess being in reverse. There is something about recognizing your own strength, and about, it's a self-trust that develops from that, because it's kind of like that inner child work where you go in and you figure out, there's a lot to inner child work. And I do see, so there's change, part of you going away, and the part of you that's going away is not really going away, but changing. So this really is relevant to that inner child work. And what I want to say about that, kind of what I'm seeing here, and what I want to say is that you become what you most needed at the time. So when you're working on that, you go back in your own memories, and some of it's beyond your memory, and you have to go in and say, well, what was it that I was not receiving that I needed at that time? And so it's no judgment on the caretakers. It's not, because who knows? I mean, it could be you were 10 months old and you got left in a room for 10 minutes while your parents went to regroup, and it was the right thing to do. And you look back on that, you can't even find fault with it. But as a 10-month-old, that might have been abandonment injury. So it's really about we're not going to make assumptions about caretakers. We're just going to assume that everybody has a little something to overcome. But you got to go in there and do that for yourself under this energy. And that's kind of what that inner child concept is all about. But with the death card, that's the ending of old fears. It's the ending of old fears so that a new strength can kind of rise in its place. That is a beautiful meaning for the death card. So the death card is something ending. It's not always something dying that you wish would stay alive. Sometimes it's an old part of yourself that it's kind of like good riddance. It's not something that was helping you, but maybe it was difficult for you to get out from under it. You have the 10 of Cups in reverse and the King of Pentacles in the upright. Here's where I'm really starting to feel your person's energy coming in on this a little more. And just to go back, I would say this is a shared energy that we're seeing here. For your person, this Death card feels like them making some progress on those values. So in previous readings, we've seen them struggling with some values. They were struggling with those values when they manifested you in the first place. And yes, they did manifest you. They were struggling with these, but they were working to kind of sweep them under the rug, you know, and you triggering them in the ways that you did cause them to have to pull those values back out and reevaluate them. It's causing them to have to figure out, well, what actually has to change? These are things that they grew up with. It's not necessarily easy for them to make those changes, but I see some progress there with that Death card. So it's a progress for both of you with that. The 10 of Cups, though, this has to do with still, like, they're being presented with something that seems like it's too good to be true. I feel like this is you, your energy that is being presented to them and being open and welcoming to them. So some of you have been working very hard to be able to leave the door of your emotions open, but not to watch that door to make sure that your person is walking through it or not. Like, they're out, doing their journey, and when they're able, then they can come back through the door. So a lot of you aren't watching it. You're not chasing them. It's not easy, but you're holding off, and you're either waiting or you're walking away. And that's kind of what we're going to try and validate here today. But what I'm seeing here is that you haven't truly walked away. Even for the folks who are looking to walk away, it hasn't really happened entirely yet with this 10 of Cups. And they are still not seeing the light. I guess they're seeing the light in a lot of things, but they're still not able to get their mind wrapped around a proper, a proper interaction with you. Then we've got the King of Pentacles over here, which is it feels a little unbalanced and egoistic to me. And I don't mean egotistical. I mean egoistic, ego-driven. Feels a little bit like they're trying to decide how this fits into their identity in a way. There's something that is a challenge, but we've got this Ace of Pentacles. So this is something that has come up for us. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. We had one, the Ace of Pentacles came up, and it was about it being a good time to walk through doors or to open doors. A good time to open a door or to walk through one. I'm getting that same kind of sense here with this Ace of Pentacles. But I don't necessarily think that this is a swift process. I feel like this is somebody walking through a door that has spent a lot of time thinking about it. So it's got that sense of a long time coming. The Ace of Pentacles is definitely not a fast moving energy. We do have the Tower in reverse. This is that resistance. So even though we see the Death card in the upright and we see the death knell for some of those values that we know need to shift, there's resistance to this feeling. And that's what I'm getting with the Tower card there. So be aware that whether it's your changes that you're looking to incorporate or whether it's your person's changes that they're looking to incorporate, you're still going to have some resistance from basically just old ways of doing things. Enhancing that connection with the higher power and the higher self will be helpful for you. You have the ability to do that, but it's always going to seem like you're chasing perfection there. That's kind of what I feel there. So you've got the Knight of Cups. It is a good time for communication, and it's a balanced, decent communication, but there's this tendency for them to want to run away. And yet it's that kind of running away where, so I'll get to this. Oh gosh, they got the whole picture. I was feeling the Knight of Swords. I saw the Page of Swords come out. So we're going to talk about these separately. So we've got Page of Swords, King of Cups, Knight of Swords, all in reverse. But first, Knight of Cups in the upright and the Empress. I want to talk about that for just a second. So this is a good time for you to be sorting things out in between. But it's like if you are having communications with your person, it's going to seem like there are these moments of clarity where they are capable of almost being vulnerable and really like you when you're talking with them, when you're interacting with them, it feels like this is something that could work. This is something that could get better. This I have all the hope and faith in this in the world. You have this nice balanced way about you, but beware. One of the things that you have maybe done some of in the past is to take some of your own motivations and put them on your person and say, oh, I would never hurt a person in this way, so I can't understand why someone else would hurt me in this way. Beware, you may be prone to doing that again. You might look at it and say, here's what I would be thinking, but have it be a little different from what they're actually thinking. And here's why I say that. So we had the Page of Swords came out, and I instantly thought of the Knight of Swords, which came out sort of right behind it, but with the King of Cups in reverse. All of these are in reverse, but that came in between. Over here with the King of Pentacles, I mentioned there being an egoistic element to it. With the King of Cups, I feel that very strongly. So it's a matter of being emotionally limited, but utilizing those limitations to kind of keep perceptions in check. So they want things to look a certain way, and they're willing to go to great lengths to get it. There's also some fear here that causes them to do the running. That's where, this is where they turn tail and run. And this is where they are flat out hiding, ghosting. It's that sort of vibe, that sort of behavior. And they talk themselves into it being supported by the egoistic perception that they want to put out there, or the perception of themselves they want people to hold. You're the person that kind of has the view behind the curtain a little bit. And that's also why, as they're running away from you, they kind of keep turning around to make sure that you're still chasing them. So it's a little disruptive to them when you stop chasing. And this kind of gets at the question that we're looking to ask today. It's a little disruptive to them when you start chasing because it creates a little bit of an energy vacuum. So here you are, you're working with this person, walking with this person, and then they take off running, and then you don't realize why they would even want to try and get away. Like, why would you want to do this? Which I think that's the question we got to look into tomorrow, by the way, because we've gotten that one a couple of times. But it's just you're kind of following along with them, and then you figure out, wait, I'm chasing this person, and I have enough self-worth to understand that that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to go ahead and stop now, or I'm going to go ahead and change my approach now. And this person keeps turning around and say, well, where'd you go? If you stop chasing them, then they kind of are drawn back in your direction. And so there's the energy vacuum. Then when you see them come back in your direction, you're inclined to move toward them, and then they go, oh my gosh, I have to run away. And so there's kind of this back and forth that continues to happen. That is a lot of the energy that I feel here. So when I feel like they're ready to come out and have a good conversation, and there are these moments, these pops of vulnerability, they're not lying to you. They just are alternating. Those pops are alternating with their fear taking over and them running away, because they seem to need to keep a certain amount of distance between the two of you. So that is a cycle. That is a cycle that we've seen kind of going on a regular basis. Very Knight of Wands sort of cycle, very in and out. Very cyclical in like the narcissistic cycle or the abuse cycle. You may see that in some of your cases. And I'm not diagnosing anyone, but I'm just saying there's a heavy narcissistic element to a lot of what we're seeing here. So some of you are saying, all right, that's enough with the cycle. I'm going to go ahead and walk away. And others are saying, okay, I'm going to patiently wait, because in both cases, there's been a lot of growth, which, as we know, with this harvest time, with this fall, this is a great time to appreciate that and to kind of allow it to be helpful for you. Growth begets growth in this way. But let's see, I feel like the question was really, am I making the right choice? And you're in different places. Not everybody's in the same place on the timeline. So if you've been somebody who's been looking to walk away in the past and now you've had some growth and thought, oh, you know what, that was too rash of a decision for me in my particular situation, and I'm actually gonna sit down and wait. Okay, we've got you heading in the right direction. Let's see if there's another card that wants to maybe come out with this. This is really interesting. It's basically give us some advice on whether you're heading in the right direction here. Oh, okay. Got the Lovers in reverse. Still an inaccessibility to the energy. And then a Seven of Swords. And this Seven of Swords has an element of, I'm sorry, I guess it's knives in here. So, or blades in this one. But it's still swords energy. It's still air energy. So you've got the Three of Discs, that's earth energy. Then you have the Lovers in reverse, and then you have the Seven of Blades. So the Seven of Blades in particular feels like it's like trust in yourself. It's wavering trust. It depends on the day. It's that kind of thing. So you may see a little bit of back and forth in your own energy, but it would be in that regard, trying to determine, am I heading the right way? There's a little bit of self-doubt in here. And it's because maybe it's hard to see that you are heading in a good direction. Sometimes heading in the right direction means there are going to be some switchbacks. There are going to be some places where maybe it feels like you're backtracking a little bit and it's actually part of the path that you need to be on. So be aware of that, but you, of course, don't want to feel like you're going back or through a cycle over and over for long periods of time, because it's no fun and ultimately doesn't feel like you're moving much of anywhere. When you're in the cycle, look for the place to get off when you're ready. The Lovers in reverse, though, this is about the timing not being right. It's about trying to connect, and two things that have perfect receptors for one another, but having a hard time connecting. So this is energetic more than it's physical. In the physical, we have this sense of not really being able to connect. In the energetic, there's a sense of these intermittent communications, kind of like it's sparking, but it's a little inconsistent. The more consistent it gets, and which it is over time, their energy is right there with you. The more work you are able to get done with yourself, and again, this is around that inner child work. There's a heavy element of inner child work for the energy of this next season here after this equinox, and especially like we asked, it's around the time of equinox. So be looking for those things in yourself that really need to be addressed, because this is a prime time for you to do that. It may be a little distracting for you that you also have this feeling of like things just not being the right time with this person. Even during those pops, you kind of know not to get used to it. You have this feeling in the back of your mind like things are, this is probably fairly temporary. Well, that's part of what makes it temporary. When you put that out there, when you put that thought pattern out there, it kind of puts it into the situation. So that's part, I'm just dropping stuff everywhere, but they're all fallen face up. So we've got the Queen of Wands and the Hermit. But to finish my thought, basically when you put those concepts out there, you're increasing the likelihood of them happening, just because you're putting them into the energy of the situation. So your best bet, if you want to manifest, is to put out there what you're seeking to have happen, but also to recognize that you're co-creating with the universe. So it's not really this arm twisting sort of way about getting what you want. It's about co-creation with the universe and looking for the best outcome. So we've got the Queen of Wands here, which really has a heavy element of co-creation, heavy element of manifestation to it. The Hermit, though, is around deep thought. So it's about not necessarily, like, you have the capacity to do whatever it is that you need to do. So whether it is you want to wait or you want to walk away, you're ready to do that thing. The Hermit is encouraging you to remain thinking about it. So you've already been doing some thinking, sometimes at the risk of overthinking. You want to try and avoid that, because you got a lot of passion behind it, okay? And so that this is something that you guys share. and the energy moves back and forth between the two of you, because your energetic access to one another is a lot clearer than that physical. And so when one of you gets in a mood, the other one has more of a tendency to not necessarily have a coherent awareness of it. Like, that's a super clear awareness around the bond. And in a lot of cases, we don't quite see that. We'll see they get very anxious about something, and you start to feel anxiety in a situation that you look at and you're like, why would I feel anxiety in this situation? There's not much going on, or I don't feel like this is really mine. When you start to feel like that, then it's all right to acknowledge that you might be picking up a little bit of a radio transmission from your person there. But be aware you are also putting them out. So when you make recommendations or thoughts, or like we were talking about before, when you say things to yourself or you put things into your own mind that are not necessarily what you want, be aware that you are putting that out there, and it increases the likelihood of it happening. But here again, we've got the Magician card. So you really have a great opportunity for manifestation in this energy. It has a lot to do with getting in touch with yourself, which we know that is maybe something that happens in layers, and it's a little bit more challenging to do in this time frame, but it's never super easy. This is a decent time for you to do it. So as far as the energy is good for you to get in a little bit closer, because there are some messages and downloads coming your direction. You can always be getting better at learning to listen for those. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about this, whether you're making the right choice. Because right now what I'm getting is you're on the right path. We've already seen that you may waver in your choice. That's going to be based on your own status of inner growth. You're encouraged to continue to think about it. So if you feel like walking away, don't take any rash actions. Queen of Wands is definitely capable of taking some rash actions. There's a little bit of a back and forth feeling to this. And it's a back and forth feeling within you, not just with your person who has maybe done a fair number of cycles with you, where they come in and they go, and they come and they go. With this is cycles you're doing within yourself. And it's where you cruelly talk yourself into, and this is not going to be everybody, but it's probably going to resonate with a few of you there. It's where you cruelly talk yourself into having hope that you suspect is probably unfounded. That cycle is one where it's almost got kind of a devil energy to it, because it feels like it's pulling you to it. There's a perspective that you don't yet have that is going to help you with the Hanged Man here, that is going to help you as you work through your emotions around, am I doing the right thing by staying? Or am I doing the right thing by waiting? Or no one has asked me if they were doing the right thing by continuing to chase. Let's see here. So we have a King of Swords. We have a Page of Wands. Page of Wands is in reverse and is a feeling of being at the end of your rope, no longer even wanting to look out anymore. Like, there's this tendency in the beginning to just constantly have this new hope that arises in you. This is less of that. This is more of that, you know what, I really don't trust this situation to bring me what I seek. And so I'm starting to have a lot less hope about it. There's that sense, but some of you are looking at that and saying, okay, but I'm also emotionally I'm not inclined to move anywhere else at this time. So I feel like it's really very individual, and it's where you are on your path, because I'm seeing backup for all of the things that you could potentially be doing. As far as staying, walking away, waiting and not making a move. The Hermit and the King of Swords, though, both are telling me you want to spend some more time with this decision before you do anything that seems like a final move. The Hermit suggests that it's going to continue to change. The King of Swords, mostly just that you want to devise a strategy that doesn't involve you burning any bridges for yourself. So it's difficult to know what the future is going to hold. When you get older and you You look back on several years earlier and say, wow, you know, I couldn't have guessed when I met this person in what seemed like it was going to be some sort of temporary situation that 5, 10, 20, whatever your number is, years from now, that I was still going to know you and have all of this history with you, you know, and there's this feeling that you want to consider that here. We also have the Eight of Wands, though, and it's encouraging you. It kind of wants to go with this Three of Discs, and it's an encouragement that you're supported. You're supported with whatever decision you want to make and whatever you want to go forward with. The World card in the reverse says, hey, this just isn't over. It's not over, but it's fine. Whatever you do, you're going to be... This is like that time when you see the crossroads come up, the concept of the crossroads, and you can take one path that's going to lead you to success. You can take another path that's also going to lead you there, but it's going to be more circuitous. Maybe you have to go through a cycle once or twice more. Maybe you're not quite done with a lesson. Maybe you still have more work to do on from the inner child perspective. Let's take a look at how you should be handling this. What it is that you need to do with regard to this, because we're getting support for what you're already kind of going through. But, you know, should you be reaching out to this person? Should you be... What exactly do we expect? And then when we get into the extended, because I don't see a ton in here about your persons. I saw definitely some about your person coming out over here when we looked at kind of the general energy for the season. But I see a lot more of this being about you. So I think when we get into the extended, we will take the question back. And when we get to this, we never know what the extended questions are going to be until we get there. I think we're going to lead off the extended with, where is your person with things in this time frame? How are they feeling in this time frame about you, about this relationship? Where are they with things? As we've got some interesting and good advice for you here. It's basically supportive of you in wherever you are on the path. Do the thing that feels the most right, but don't burn any bridges, that sort of thing. But go ahead and move forward. You know this isn't over. So when we get into the extended, we'll look into how they're feeling about it. The link for that will be down below this video. But let's look into what you're supposed to be doing about this, and what actions should you be taking. I'm interested to see what comes out of this, and this might drive a little bit more of, what we, oh, you kidding me? What we learn in the extended. So I dropped a few down there. None of them are face up, and I'm supposed to stop pulling cards here. Sometimes I pull one, sometimes I pull more than one. I never know what it's going to be. So you have the Three of Cups here. Three of Cups is about, what comes out with this is kind of this sense of make sure that everything is covered in your own environment. Like, clean your own house first before you come at this person with any energy or any kind of communication. Make sure you're cleaning your own environment. And so that is third-party energy. Could be third-party energy on your side. You've got a relationship, you've got a marriage, you've got something that you're still kind of working through. You've got a job that you are in the process of trying to decide how you're going to manage. And, oh, by the way, it's relevant to this person. Or there are a number of things that could be considered third-party energy on your side. You may have a third, fourth, and fifth-party energy, as one of my viewers put it. It's all considered third-party energy if it's not you and your person. Even it doesn't matter how long you've been there. So if you've been married to your person for 20 years and your husband or your wife for 20 years, and this person has come in a couple of years ago, they're not third party just because they've come more recently. The question is, who are you interacting with? And so it's between you and your soulmate. So that means anyone else, regardless of how long you've known them, would be considered third party, or anything else. So job, whatever. There's something you need to clean up, but we've got a destiny card here, a card of hope, destiny, and don't worry about it. It's still going to be there when you get done addressing this, whatever this is. I feel like, though, there's also a heavy component of healing that is needed, specifically around this inner child work that keeps kind of ringing through this reading. And again, it's about becoming the thing you most needed at the time that you most needed something, and something that wasn't coming through for you from your caregivers. So we've got the Nine of Cups here. Oh, this is about figuring out what you really want. So this isn't necessarily like you're cleaning house. It is getting your house in order. And those two concepts differ because cleaning house suggests you're getting rid of some things. Getting your house in order may or may not include getting rid of some things, but it does involve figuring out what it is that you want. So over here, you have that, hey, don't burn any bridges, think this through. Over here, it's about figure out where you want to go. And then, let's use that same energy to go ahead and start to get you there. But there's a heavy component of you being guided with the star card here. We also have the Hierophant, which is saying there's going to be some guidance for you coming from somewhere. I get that some of it's super predictable as to where it would come from. It's clergy, it's somebody in your family that you really trust and value. It's a friend who's very wise. It's someplace you're used to getting good messages. There's that, but also look for places in less traditional sources of wise information. Things might show up where you least expect it. There's the moon also coming out for you here. So it's not always going to be super clear what you need to do. Again, you're being encouraged to really think it through. Take consideration of some of the guidance that you're receiving. Just because you get advice doesn't mean you need to follow it, but it still doesn't hurt to consider it. And in this energy, you're quite prepared to consider it. You might be pulled down a little bit by this sense of disappointment in this overall situation. You're encouraged to disconnect your view of success around the future from what you view as potentially failure with this relationship, because really it's, again, part of being on that road you needed to be on, but not all of it feels like moving forward. Some of it feels like switchbacks or backtracking. And if you're not doing too much of that, then it's a matter of go ahead and get into that Hermit card energy. Go ahead and get into that King of Swords energy. Start thinking it through. Don't let yourself get too far up in your head, but start thinking it through. You may be inclined to miss truths at this point. So not that you are hiding truth from yourself, but you may be inclined to miss it with this Ace of Swords in the reverse. This is not an insurmountable problem. This is just something where your best bet is to think it through. Think it through when something doesn't hit you quite right. Look at it again. Make sure you're reading it correctly, hearing it correctly before you go to a place where you're making a response or a reaction. You have the Knight of Wands, an incredibly mercurial sort of feeling that comes out for you here. You may be super tempted to do things and with a great clarity, I see with this Eight of Swords, honorable mention, but in the reverse. Eight of Swords in the reverse is more of a clarity and less overthinking. You have maybe a strong ability to jump in and do something. It's almost kind of got that Fool card energy. Not that you're discouraged from doing that. Just make sure you look before you leap to a certain degree. And this feels like good energy. Oh, yes, this is Ten of Pentacles. You are inclined to move towards something very positive at this point. So right now, and really in the time frame of this reading, so it's heavier in the near term, but across this equinox time period, you've got a really warm, powerful feeling about you just in your immediate environment. You're going to notice people probably responding to you a little bit better. There's a strength in you that seems like it just wants to, people want to be near it, and people will move toward you as a result of it. So that's the Emperor card we have there in the upright. And I feel like I'm done drawing cards here. But so as far as what you're supposed to do about it, you're supposed to focus on yourself. This is turning inward, not ignoring your person. So we're going to look here in the extended is what's happening with your person. We already see them potentially wanting to have communications, but then maybe them running away. So over here, you're kind of like, okay, that could happen, but I'm going to focus more on something over here. So it's not necessarily that it's more a matter of not making a rash action. And we've seen this advice come out before, not making a rash action. So you may be walking away right now because it's what you need to do. You may be sitting still and staying right now because it's what you need to do. Just make sure you're doing the thing that resonates the most with you at this moment, and realize this could change. All of this energy here suggests that this could change, but there's a greater confidence coming up around you as you do that inner child work and become more aware of what it is you didn't have, and make sure that you're prepared to give that to yourself. So that is a very, it's like an uplifting message. I'm glad to see that you were actually here as the cards came out, so it doesn't look like I made it up, but it's, um, this is a very stable energy that you are moving into. Doesn't necessarily mean that things move quickly with your person. Everybody's got their work to do, and that may happen at different rates, but you're still likely to hear from them from time to time, and some of those could be very vulnerable experiences. So just keep in mind, you don't want to burn any bridges when it's not feeling like a vulnerable experience, or when they run away and then turn around to see if you're looking, or still chasing them. There's a lot going on here, and a lot of it has to do with, okay, allow this to play out, but also focus on self. So they need to do that also. And the two of you being able to do that will make these vulnerable moments worth even more as time goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. When we get into the extended, of course, we'll take a look at what it is that your person is thinking, what they're feeling about this situation, about you. And it's fewer people that click on the extended, so those feel a little bit more like, they feel a little bit more like those, an intimate sort of reading, as opposed to, we have more people that are here because it's limited for the extendeds. And so I recognize that. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I never know what the questions are going to be that pop up, but we'll go ahead and get into that now. I'm just going to go off and do it. The link is down below. If you want to join, I'll see you there. Otherwise, I will see you again tomorrow.